Hi, welcome to the new lesson of learning music online. In the previous lesson, we were discussing about the advantages of learning music and the purpose of why we do this. Now we're going straight into the learning part. We start with the Western music notations. Now when we talk about the Western music notations, the first thing that you have to know is about the staff lines. The 5 horizontal lines on which the notes sit are called a staff. A staff with no notes on it looks like this. Each line or space on the staff is for its own note. Now the notes represent sound called pitches. Because music employs a set of pitches, the staff acts like a map for the notes, allowing us to hear, read or write them as lower or higher on the staff. And this looks like this. There are other ways to understand this concept, but a specific term called frequency is an apt one to know this. All the notes are placed on the basis of its frequency, up or down, or high or low. Now on a keyboard, the notes are arranged on the English alphabets A to G. In Western music, pitches and notes are specific and have specific names. We use the first 7 letters of our alphabet A through G. Let's look at a standard keyboard. Now, this is a picture of a standard keyboard with the middle register, higher register and the lower registers. Each white key is different from that of the black key. Now when you look at the keyboard itself, you will easily find that it is a set of black keys which actually repeating over and over again. You see a group of 2 black keys plus a 3, and that set actually repeats over and over again. So that starts from a C and another C comes again with a 2 group. So 2 plus 3 makes a 1 octave of C to C notes. Now another term that you have to know is about the clefs. You may ask, what is a clef? A clef is a symbol that sits at the leftmost side of the staff, specifies which lines and space belong to which notes. In a sense, a clef calibrates or orients the staff to specific notes. The 3 most common clefs are the treble clef, the bass clef, the alto clef, and now the alto clef sign can be altered for a tenor clef too, and the treble and the bass as well, that can be placed at different positions and can call with different names too. But anyway, these 3 clefs are the most common ones. On a keyboard we use only the treble clef. That means the treble clef is used for the right hand, and for the left hand we use the chords. While in case of bass clef, we use the instruments that is playing at the lowest registers. On a piano you use both. On the right hand we need the treble clef, and on the left hand we use the bass clef. So just like that, all the clefs actually differ from instrument to instrument. Now let's come to the treble clef, which is most important for us. The treble clef, which is also called as a G clef, because it looks like a calligraphic G and which surrounds or circles the G line or the second line. So, and that will show the G note on the G line like this. The notes here given are E, F, G, A, B, C, D, E and F. Since the keyboard is related to the piano, I would like to introduce you the bass clef also, because on an advanced stage a keyboard player definitely has to or have to know to play the piano parts. Also, if you are trying to play an organ as well, it too has the bass clef in it. Now, the bass clef looks like this. The bass clef is again called as F clef because of the same reason. It looks like a calligraphic F, which is written in inversion. So anyway, works as follows. The bass clef is given here, and you can go through the notes from starting from the first line G, then comes A on the first space, then B, C, D, E, F, G and A. Alright, so now here, the easy way to understand the clef is, or the F clef, we call as F clef. The reason for calling the F clef is not just only the calligraphic part, rather you see two dots in it, and the two dots are above and below one line which is called as F. So basically that again makes you call the clef as an F clef. So here is the note showing F note on the F line and other notes too. I am not going into detail of alto clef because that is not required for us, and there are many other clefs too. Once we have learned about how the treble and bass clefs are looking, the next thing we do is the grand staff. Often it is necessary to use notes that are far above the bass clef and far below the treble clef, such as when we use a wide range of instrument like piano, rather than use many ledger lines on one staff, we combine two staffs at once to cover the wider range. When we combine the bass and the treble clefs into a larger staff, we connect them with a line and a brace on the left hand side, which looks like this. This new arrangement or the style is called as the grand staff. The next thing that we have to know is about the notes, and that is one of the most basic elements in music. For an introduction, the notes could be looking like something like this. These are some of the freestanding notes, like we call the semi-breve, minim, crotchet, quaver, semi-quavers. And this is how a note is actually placed on the 5 lines, the staff. Or more than one note would be looking like this. This is what we call as notes in harmony, and this one is called notes placed in melody, one after another. When we talk about the notes, you need to know about the note values. Since not all notes sound for the same length of time, we use note values to indicate the duration of a note. A whole note, or we call a semi-breve, is written as an open oval shape. At the same time, a half note, which is also called as a minim, is an open oval with a stem attached to one side of it. Now the quarter note or a crotchet is a closed oval with a stem. The eighth note or the quaver is a closed oval with a stem and a flag. Now the 16 notes or the semi-quavers have 2 flags. Also, this way you can easily learn this one. A semi-breve or a whole note, one whole note is equivalent to 2 half notes, and 1 half note is equivalent to 2 quarter notes, and 1 quarter note is equivalent to 2 eighth notes. 1/8 note is equivalent to 2 16th notes. You can use either of the terminology, either in terms of whole, half, quarter, eighth, or you can use semi-breve, minim, crotchet, quaver, semi-quavers, whatever it is. Now, this is a diagram which is a very famous one, which shows how the notes has been divided equally on a music terminology. The topmost note that you see is a semi-breve. Take it as a 4 because it has 4 beats. Now, 4 has 2 plus 2, that makes 2 half notes, which is equivalent to 4 quarter notes, that is 1 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1. And now, which is equivalent to 8 quaver notes. And now, which is equivalent to 16 semi-quaver notes. So, that is a chart that you can find easily to understand how the notes are being subdivided. I want to introduce one more note to you, which is called as augmentation dot, sometimes called as a dotted notes. What does this note does? For example, if you take a note, a minim note or a half note, and put a dot to it on its right side, the value becomes 3. So what does it do? It increases the value to its half. Like if it is a 2-beat note, it adds its half. That means half of 2 is 1, so that 1 is added to it, so that makes a 3 notes. So 3 beats. So a 2-beat dot becomes a 3-beat note. Just like that, a crotchet note or a 1 beat, put a dot to it, it becomes 1.5. So these notes are mostly coming where the music actually enhances to a different level and on a slightly advanced stage on the lessons, not at the beginning, but as a beginner, knowing the values is very important and you don't get confused at the end. And this is for you. Here is a simple melody for you with the notes we have learned. Please practice it with the Chordana app. Thank you. Bye bye. I'll catch you in the next lesson. This exercise is attached as a MIDI file along with this video. Please download it and practice with the Chordana app.